Thousands of people have heard John Rosebush's message on Powering the Planet, where he discusses his invention that will provide a totally new way to produce clean energy for the world. John has clearly outlined the world's need for such a new energy source and the urgency of moving ahead as quickly as possible. Today, John will tell us about the implementation and the many benefits that his new invention will bring and how it can change the very world in which we live. John Rosebush.
Hello, my name is John Rosebush. I've decided to create a video based on all the benefits that powering the planet can do for this world. You know, in the previous videos, I've talked about all the shortcomings and the reasons why we need a clean, eco-friendly alternative energy type project. Well, this video is going to talk about the benefits of this new energy invention. Let me start out with, I believe this new energy invention can either completely solve or at least improve the 4 of the 5 major issues facing mankind. Powering the planet without fossil fuels, climate change, food shortages, and water shortages. The 5th one is population control, and the people of the world are going to have to solve that on their own.
John, I know you talked about just earlier, you very briefly mentioned food shortages. How will this invention address the issue of food shortages? What can we do there?
Well, there's 2 things that this specifically, and actually I believe that there's many things that this new invention can do, but the first one is it can provide enough energy for better irrigation around the world. The second thing it can do is we'll quit growing food for biofuels. There'll be no need for it. And the third thing it will do is it will create enough electricity for third world countries to put in refrigeration, etc., which will extend the life of the food that they do produce.
Mm-hmm. Desalinization, that's another key point that I know you touched on. That's probably not a particular issue here in the United States, but what about in other countries?
It actually is an issue in the United States. There are water shortages today in San Diego and Los Angeles. And if we look at the world, there's water shortages, actually there's water shortages today on a huge amount of the planet. Most of the population of the world live close to oceans. And the nice thing about this new energy invention is we can build desalination plants on those oceans. And actually, I believe we can produce enough water, more than enough water, for the entire world.
I know that Saudi Arabia has a large number of desalinization plants, but they also have a large amount of available energy, going their way. Would this new energy source provide that energy for desalinization for other countries that are not so fortunate as Saudi Arabia?
Well, Saudi Arabia has oil at their disposal. But what we'd like to do is preserve that oil for products. You know, again, this new energy invention has the ability to produce energy without the use of fossil fuels. So I have not looked at Saudi Arabia as far as their ability to produce energy out of this new energy invention that I've created. But there's 80% of the planet, I believe, we can power. So, and Saudi Arabia probably can create some power from this. But what we really want to do is preserve that oil for products in as much of the world as possible.
So am I to gather from what you just said that desert countries, for example, I know that this new invention hinges on water power. I would assume that desert countries that might not have quite so much river flow available to them would not necessarily be the best place for this type of installation.
That's true, but even the United States has deserts. You know, I looked at Iran. Iran has the ability to generate enough energy for their country many times over, and we would consider them maybe a country with deserts. So unless you specifically look at a country, you can't really determine how much energy can be produced from that country. You know, this is based on river flow, and I've talked about it just in the previous video that I've created. But, you know, China has deserts. We have deserts. That don't necessarily mean their country can't be powered. It depends on if Saudi Arabia has any major rivers flowing through it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So a country that has a large number of rivers could benefit from this, certainly to a higher degree than a country with fewer rivers. On the other hand, Where would you see perhaps your most initial or your first installation of your new system?
Well, we know that let me just give you what I would like to happen to this new invention. I would like to give it over to the top engineers in the world. And I would like, we know that they're going to pilot this project, and it will probably start out with maybe a gigabyte or 2 gigabyte type installation. And we also know that it would have to be fine tuned. And that's going to take a year or two to do that. But I don't believe the engineers will doubt the amount of energy this will produce. So I do believe that I could get the rural community, and I believe if the world did come together, they could start to set up technical centers on the different continents, and they could fine-tune this new energy invention. Because if we're going to deploy it around the world, we want it fine-tuned at the very top level that it can produce energy before we start installing it around the world.
Now, you said that you thought your pilot installation might bring up 1 gigawatt of power. Just to frame that, how much is 1 gigawatt of power? Let's compare it, for example, to the output of the Hoover Dam.
Well, the Hoover Dam is 2 gigawatts, and this is going to change the way we think about producing power all around the world. A small installation of this will be 2 or 3, 4 gigawatts of power. A large installation could be even a terawatt of power, or it could be a half a terawatt, which is 500 gigawatts, or it could be a 100 gigawatt installation. This has the ability, depending on the river, etc., to be implemented at different sizes. We can even take a large river and implement it at a small size, but we'd have to segment off that piece of the river. So it has so much flexibility. The other thing it does is we can segment off a river in many pieces. And so what we can do is it can back one another up then. We can shut down a piece of it and keep a piece of it going. It's important that this is distributed around the world. In the United States, I know I could put this in one site because I know United States and produce enough energy to power this world. But that's not what we would do. We would probably pick 30 or 40 sites so we could have it could be distributed around the country in order to help our grids, etc. When I talk about we could do this for 10 or 20% of the cost, I'm talking about being able to produce the electricity. That's the upstream side to the utility or the electric business. The downstream side is the transmission to the grids, and then setting up better grids around the cities, etc. That piece to the utility business will have to grow exponentially if we want this to operate in such a way where we have a completely 100% secure environment around the world, and we also power automobiles, and we use electricity as our basis for almost all energy produced in the world. Now, part of what we'll do with the electric coming in, say we have excess electricity coming in, well, we'll set up temporary storage facilities around the major cities, and we'll use them as backup sites in case we have power outages. It makes the world so secure with energy. It just does so much for a country or even a continent, and actually the world.
John, if we could back up just a minute. I know that your thrust in this entire project, your entire mindset in this has been to provide this invention for the entire world. Powering the planet is not just a buzzword, it's a truth. You would like to see this invention implemented in countries all over the planet, and there's a political and a humanitarian reason for that. Can you discuss those humanitarian reasons?
Well, if you think of our poor countries, and energy is actually wealth. We know this. The wealthier countries have lots of energy. This helps poor countries with irrigation, with refrigeration, with clean water. It actually creates a sense of hope for all the poorer countries around the world. I actually believe it will reduce the piracy going on. It will reduce, it will bring literally civilization to a lot of these poorer countries, in the sense that once you have energy, once you have hope, the countries will start to care more. There'll be more development, and it will be a safer world. And that's part of the reason for the poorer countries.
Well, I know that in the headlines right now, everyone's familiar with the concerns of Iran and their nuclearization of their country. It seems to me that your project would necessitate no more nuclear power plants, and for example, in Iran. Is that true?
It is if Iran would accept this new invention, and if the world did, Iran could power its country many times over through clean, eco-friendly alternative energy. There's a lot of intelligent people in Iran. Actually went to college with a few of them that were students. Iran is full of good people, and this will solve their energy needs. Actually, this will solve Syria's energy needs. I looked at Syria too because of the issues that we're having in Syria. Pakistan, like I've said in the past, I can create 3 terawatts of power in Pakistan, maybe 4. Now, Pakistan's a poor country. This gives many poor countries. South Africa, I could produce close to a terawatt of power. So much hope. I actually, if you go out on my blog site, you'll see that I've listed quite a few countries separately and how much energy that this new invention can produce for them. This really does give hope to all the poorer countries. But many of those countries are too poor to actually implement this. It will take the assistance from the Western countries in the world and from the more stronger countries like China, India, etc. I know China and India have a lot of poor people, but they have a huge amount of intelligent people, and they're very advanced countries, even with the poorer people they have in their country. It's going to take countries like that, like in Europe, all the Western countries, in the United States, to assist a lot of these poor countries in implementing this new energy invention.
In trying to find a location for your pilot program, your initial installation of your new invention, it seems to me that it stands to reason that a country that doesn't have very many resources, not a great deal of money at hand to do these sorts of things, it might be possible to find a pilot program in a country that's a little bit better equipped in terms of their monetary situation to get this started. What country would you might think of first when you're thinking of installing your system initially?
Actually, I would hope that, if the engineers agree with all the math and everything and with the new invention, which I believe they will, I think I'll get 100% approval on this new energy invention. I would think there would be 4, 5, 6, maybe even 10 pilot projects going on at the same time. And I would think there'd be, and they would be smaller ones. Like I say, a gigabyte or 2 gigabytes is now a big power plant. But with this new energy invention, it's really a small one. So I would hope that maybe China, India, Europe, United States, and maybe 4 or 5 other countries around the world would go ahead and do a small project at the same time and learn from one another and improve it. So when I think of a pilot program, I don't think of one. I think of 5 or 10 of them going on at the same time over the first few years. Now, it's very critical that they share what they've learned and they improve it to a point where they can install it around the world. Remember that if the world goes along and this works, that there'll be tens of thousands of these inventions installed around the world. And it's important that it's fine-tuned to where it can produce the total maximum amount of energy that it can produce. It's also important that we build in the ability to do complete maintenance on it and ease that. So, that's why it's so critical that expert engineers and scientists all gather together around the world and set up technical centers on each continent and improve this invention in such a way that we get the maximum capabilities out of it throughout the planet.
I know that one of the concerns amongst scientists and political leaders are going to be, how difficult will it be for us to get this program started? What will it cost? What are the environmental concerns? Are there any issues like that you can address at this point? What are some of the questions that the scientists and other leaders have been asking you these days?
Because I've invented this and because I've tried to talk about it a lot, I have thought about a lot of these concerns. But there are many more smart people than me throughout the entire world that I would hope that would take on these issues. But I can say this, that if we treat everything according to cost the way that we're treating things today, we'll never get this installed. This is too important. I've talked about this a little bit in the past in some videos, but if we do everything by cost on this planet, we're never going to convert this planet over. to clean alternative energy, and it's critical that it does. We have to start thinking about, okay, where is it needed, regardless of cost? I mean, how much is mankind's ability to survive worth? And we have to ask ourselves that. How much is it worth? I don't think that you can answer it with money. The world's going to have to come together and figure out how we can install this without monetary issues, or at least to bend them a great deal. Maybe a world currency or some type of currency that we can use, because this should be installed by priority, not by money.
Okay. What do you foresee as the biggest hurdle, the biggest difficulty in getting your first pilot installation in place? What do you think is going to cause you the biggest difficulty?
Well, right now I've been trying to gather the countries of the world together, and I've been having a huge amount of difficulty. I know it's because of credibility, but all I'm asking them to do is come together. It's critical they come together. I mean, if we don't come together as a planet, we're not going to solve this. And it truly is the most pressing and most important issue facing mankind. So, I've thought about United States right now is having so many issues political-wise that I'm not quite so sure that United States is going to be the leader of this. China and India make up over 40% of the people on this planet. Now, I don't know which one of the countries are going to want to lead, but I would hope they both would. And so I'm attempting to get to one of them, so we can at least get something started. And then maybe we'll bring the other world leaders from around the world in. Their needs are so great that I would hope that they would say, let's look at this and let's make an attempt at this, because we are going to run out of oil. It is so critical that we find another way to power our planet, and we do it soon. I watched a video from another expert on climate change, etc., talk about, well, we know that there's 50 or 70 years of oil remaining, so we have time. No, we don't. This new energy, even if right now, this new energy invention, we say, okay, let's go forward with it. It will take 30 or 40 years to implement this around the world, even if it's a priority worldwide project. It's not a simple matter of flipping the switch. So we need to actually get started now. And every day that goes by bothers me, let alone years. And so I'm hoping that one of those two major countries step up.
I don't think I can recall, other than World War II, a time in our nation's history, at least in the history of the United States, when the entire nation came together as one to address a common difficulty. To me, in my mind, this seems almost like a potential invasion of aliens from another planet, whereas the world might unite to oppose something like that. Is that sort of the way you see this thing? Do you think it's on the same level as an alien invasion in importance, that we bring our nations together to fight this common foe, this need for energy?
It kind of is. If you think about it, if aliens came to our planet, why would they come to our planet? Probably to take our resources. Now, we can kind of treat that as a joke, but that's why they would come. So, you can imagine aliens landing on our planet, taking up our oil, taking up our water, taking up our natural gas, etc. Those are the critical resources of this planet. Otherwise, the planet's just rock. So we're using them up. We're consuming them just like as if aliens were going to take them. It kind of is like that. We need to preserve these resources. People on this planet and humanity, in my mind, in my goal, I want to see them survive for millions and millions of years. And right now we use those resources, we just burn them up for energy. Right now we know there's certain products that we use them for, like plastics, asphalt, whatever. And I keep talking about actually almost 7,000 products in the United States that we need to keep that oil for. But we don't even know what the future is going to entail. We don't know. And every time we use up all these resources, they may be critical in the future. And mankind, we could set this planet up to live permanently. Imagine if the whole world had all the energy it would ever need without using up any resources. You know, water is the key. We make hydrogen from water. We drink water. Water gets our plants to grow. Water is the basis for all of everything in this world. We need to preserve the oil. It really, truly is a miracle that we have it. And we need to hang on to as much of it as we can.
John, where do we go from here? In conclusion, if you could wrap this up in a few words with an appeal, a particular address, a pointed message, if you will, to a certain group of people here in the world, and I talk about all over the world, what would that message and appeal be?
I'm trying to bring the world together for something extremely positive. You know, earlier he talked about World War II, how our nation, well, actually it was many nations that came together. We really do have those types of issues. Our nations around the world need to come together. It's that simple. Just come together for the benefit of mankind. You all love your kids. Every country in the world loves their kids. I need you to come together. But right now, I'm not so sure that it's feasible. You know, I'm looking to either India or China to help me launch this. And the reason why is because the number of people in their country. Both countries are trying to help their people. You know, I wish the United States would lead, but we can't even, we even closed our government down recently. I'm not against the United States. I'm a true patriot. I love this country. But this invention is for the world, not just the United States, or not just for me. It's for all of you. It's for your children. It's for your grandchildren. It's for mankind. And so I need somebody to step up. I have never lied about anything in any of these videos. My heart is for our kids and grandkids. I have grandkids and kids, like most of you. You know, I went to the scientist recently on LinkedIn. I need all you scientists to share this video and to bring this world together. The politicians are not going to do it. It's up to the scientists around the world to join together in order to save mankind. I thank you for watching this video. I would like you to contact me any way possible. And it really don't just have to be China or India. Any country. And so we can, all countries could come together, as far as I'm concerned, right off the bat. But I need one of you to contact me, and I really do need China or India to step forward. You know, one last thing. You have so many people, the world will listen to you. That's why I've picked you two countries. So I thank you again for watching this video, and please contact me, and this may be the last video that I produce.